Alvara Trenholm hit the ground before she even knew she was falling. One moment, she was tightening the cinch on her mare at sunrise. The next, a sharp pain sliced through her side so hard it stole her breath. The Texas dirt felt cold under her palms as she knelt there, dust clinging to her sleeves. For the first time in her life, her own body had turned against her. And that scared her more than any rattlesnake or stampede ever had. The sun was barely up over the hills, painting the Trenholm ranch in gold and shadow. But to Alvara, the world felt darker than midnight. She was tough, everyone said so, the toughest hand in Picos County. Strength wasn't just something she had, it was who she was. She had survived rough winters and dry summers since she was 10 years old. Since her ma died and left her to barns and hard roadways as teachers. She learned young that no one was coming to save her. You stitched your own cuts. You bit your lip and worked through pain. You never asked for help. But this pain was different, deep, sharp, angry. It warned her that stubborn pride might cost her more than she could afford. Still, she gritted her teeth and forced herself to her feet. She would not break. She would not bend. She grabbed Buttercup's reins and steadied herself until the spinning stopped. "Walk it off," she muttered, even though she felt like her insides were tearing apart. Yet the thought of collapsing again, alone in the open, pushed a new kind of fear through her. Something had to give, and it was her pride that finally snapped. Bitter Creek had a doctor now, a new one. She had planned to never need him. But Need didn't ask for permission. By the time she reached the small town, sweat had drenched her shirt despite the cool morning. Every hoofbeat of her mare jarred her side like a hammer blow. Folks stared as she slid from the saddle outside the plain building marked Colburn Medical Practice. She told herself no one cared. No one noticed. They all noticed. Her boots sounded too loud on the steps as she opened the door. Inside smelled of herbs and clean wood. Not like the whiskey-soaked sawbones she expected. She looked for an old man, maybe shaky hands and cloudy eyes. Instead, a tall figure stepped from a back room, wiping his palms on a clean cloth. Dr. Jarth Colburn. He wasn't what she was prepared for. Broad-shouldered, straight-backed, dark hair neatly kept. A confident jaw and steady brown eyes that saw too much in a single glance. He looked like someone who belonged in a city back east, not tending cowhands in dusty Texas. Alvara's throat went dry. Her first instinct was to turn and leave. He nodded politely. "Miss." His voice was smooth as polished wood. "You in some pain?" She hated how her answer came out as a weak growl. "I'm fine." A lie. His eyebrow raised like he heard every truth she meant to hide. "Come sit, let me take a look." She froze. Help felt like a trap. Her hand twitched toward her hat, ready to bolt. But moving made the pain stab harder, and she winced before she could stop herself. He saw it. "Just lay back," he said gently. "Let me take care of you." Those words, they hit her like a bullet straight to the heart. No one had ever offered to take care of her. Not once. Not in 23 long years. Heat burned her cheeks hotter than the July sun. She couldn't stand how weak she felt under his gaze. She staggered to her feet, determined to escape before he saw the shame in her eyes. "I don't need any help," she muttered, nearly kicking the door open in her hurry. She stumbled into the street, chest tight, heart pounding. Her pride dragged her away like reins pulled too hard. Every step back to Buttercup felt like walking through knives. She mounted with clumsy jerks and rode out of Bitter Creek as fast as her pain allowed. She made it home with pride barely intact. Golden Cracia, her father's old partner, saw right through her the moment she set foot in the yard. The older man squinted, arms crossed. "You look like you've been dragged through a knothole, girl. What did the doc say?" He'd flushed her neck again. "Didn't see him." Golden shook his head slowly. "You rode all the way to town and didn't see the man? Girl, you got less sense than a goose." I changed my mind. Quote, "You ain't a fool," he said, voice rough but worried. "But you're acting like one." She stormed into the house, refusing to look at him. The walls felt too quiet, too empty. Her father's absence still hung there, 3 winters old and heavier every day. Dinner tasted like dust. Golden tried to make small talk, but she barely heard him. Jarth Colburn's words kept echoing. "Just lay back and let me take care of you." Sleep didn't help. Dawn brought more chores and sharper pain. But she saddled up anyway, pushing through the ache, refusing to admit defeat. She almost made it halfway across the north pasture before everything went black again. The ground slammed into her. Buttercup nudged at her shoulder with soft whines, but Alvara couldn't move. Her breath came shallow and fast. Scared for the first time in years, pain, sharp and cold, whispered a truth she couldn't ignore. Pride might kill her, and the next person who found her might not be the one she wanted, or the one she feared she needed. She lay there, helpless as dust on the wind, as the sun climbed high and time stretched thin. Every heartbeat felt like a battle she was losing. And somewhere, in Bitter Creek, a doctor's steady voice still echoed in her mind. Pain has a way of outlasting pride. She wasn't sure how long she had before one of them finally beat her. Alvara woke on the ground with her cheek pressed against dry dirt. The world spun as she tried to move. Buttercup stood nearby, pacing nervously, letting out worried snorts. The sun had shifted high above her. Hours must have passed. She tried to push herself up, but a bolt of pain tore through her side. She gasped and collapsed again. Her breath came sharp and shallow. Her heart pounded loud in her ears. She fought the urge to panic, but fear crept in anyway. She had never been this helpless before. Sweat rolled down her forehead. She tasted dust and fear. Buttercup suddenly jerked her head and gave a loud cry, running toward the road. Hoofbeats thundered in the distance. Alvara tried to focus her blurry eyes. A rider was coming fast. The ground trembled under the powerful hooves. When she finally recognized who it was, her heart sank and lifted at the same time. Jarth Colburn. He slid off his chestnut gelding before the horse even stopped. His bag hit the ground beside her as he dropped to his knees. "Alvara," he breathed, fear cracking his usually calm voice. "What happened?" She tried to speak, but pain stole the words. He cursed under his breath and checked her pulse. His hands moved quick and sure as he examined her side. "You should have come back sooner," he said, voice low and angry with worry. "You should have let me help." She didn't have the strength to argue. Golden must have seen Buttercup roaming alone and gone after the doctor. That alone made her chest tighten with shame. She had always been the strong one, the one who handled everything. Now she was the reason others worried. Without giving her a chance to refuse, Jarth slid one arm under her knees and another behind her back. Alvara tried to protest. "I can walk," she whispered. He looked her right in the eyes. "No, you can't." Quote. He lifted her like she weighed nothing. She hissed at the pain, gripping his shirt. The scent of soap and leather wrapped around her. It felt too safe, too good, too dangerous. He mounted his horse with her still in his arms. She leaned against his chest, hearing the steady beat of his heart as they rode hard for his ranch on the North Ridge. He spoke to his horse with calm command, and the animal responded instantly. Her eyelids fluttered. Fever swallowed her. The world blurred into heat and shadows. When she opened her eyes again, she was lying on a velvet sofa inside a grand parlor. The place looked rich, polished, like something out of a dream. She tried to sit up, but Jarth rushed to her side. "Stay still." He pressed his fingers against her forehead. She felt his skin cool against her burning heat. He prepared something from his bag, his jaw set tight. He gave her a spoonful of bitter liquid. "Laudanum," he said, "for the pain." She wanted to argue again, but agony convinced her to swallow. His hands were warm and steady as he placed a blanket around her. He knelt beside her, closer than she thought she could handle. "You should have trusted me," he whispered. Her eyes stung. She turned away, afraid he might see her tears. "You think needing help makes you weak," he continued softly, "but you're wrong." She forced a laugh, thin and bitter. "You don't know what I've had to be." I can't just fall apart." He leaned closer. "You aren't falling apart. You're hurt. And hurt people deserve care." His voice was so calm, so sure. She didn't know how to answer. She had never heard those words from anyone, not since her mother died. "I can take care of myself," she whispered. "But you don't have to," he said. "Not anymore." Her heart thudded hard in her chest. That scared her nearly as much as the pain. Night stretched long. Fever rose and fell like storm waves. Jarth stayed by her side through every hour, wiping her forehead, checking her pulse, making sure she breathed steady. When she tossed and mumbled nonsense, he whispered calm words. When she winced from pain, he touched her hand in quiet comfort. He saved her life. She knew that much. And that terrified her more than death ever could. By morning, the fever finally eased. Alvara opened her eyes and found him sitting in a chair, slumped with exhaustion, arms crossed, head down. He had fallen asleep while watching her. She stared at him, her heart achingly full and confused. Here was a man who didn't want her ranch, didn't want her reputation, didn't want to see her tough. He just wanted her alive. Buttercup's soft neigh broke the silence from somewhere outside. The ranch creaked and settled under the new daylight. Jarth woke with a jolt and rushed to her side again. "You're awake," he said with a breath of relief. "I told you I was fine." She tried to joke weakly. He shook his head. "You could have died." She swallowed. The truth of it sank deep. "How long do I need to stay?" she asked. "Until I say you're healed," he answered. "And if I refuse?" He leaned close, his voice low and firm. "Then I will just have to keep you here myself." A slow heat crept across her face. He didn't smile. He didn't look away. He meant every word. And for the first time in her life, Alvara Trenholm wasn't sure she wanted to run. Alvara rested on the sofa, weak but alive. Sunlight warmed the room, and for the first time in days, her breathing was easy. But her pride still twisted inside her like a tight knot. She watched Jarth move around the room, checking bandages, writing notes, boiling water. He worked like a man who refused to lose her. "You should lie back," he said when she tried to sit up straighter. "I've been lying back too long," she grumbled. His lips curved into a half-smile. "You have been lying here exactly 1 day." Her cheeks heated. She wasn't used to being treated like someone worth worrying about. It made her heart feel too big for her chest. When she tried to swing her feet to the floor, he caught her arm gently. "You're not ready." "Who decides that?" "You." "Yes," he said. "Me, your doctor." Her eyes narrowed. "What if I don't want a doctor?" His answer came quiet and strong. "Then take me as the man who cares about you." Those words left her breathless. She looked down, twisting her fingers into the blanket. "I don't know how to do that," she said. "Then let me show you," he replied. By afternoon, Alvara insisted she could walk. Jarth hovered close, but let her test her strength. She made it 2 steps before her knee buckled. His arms wrapped around her before she hit the floor. Her face burned hotter than fever. "I can walk," she growled. He looked down at her with a soft challenge in his eyes. "Then walk with me." He moved slow beside her, one arm steadying her back. Each step hurt, but it was a hurt with purpose. When she reached the kitchen doorway, she leaned against the wall to catch her breath. "You're stubborn," he said. "You're bossy." She shot back. He chuckled. "We make a fine pair then." She looked up at him. His smile wasn't mocking. It was warm, kind. It made her chest ache in a new way. "People will talk," she whispered. "Let them." He said again without hesitation. "What will they say?" she asked. "That the town doctor and the strongest cowgirl in Texas found each other," he replied. Her heart skipped. His confidence scared her. He made everything sound simple. She had lived too long in hard truth to believe life could ever be easy. But when he brushed a loose strand of hair behind her ear, she found herself wanting to believe him. Golden arrived by late day to check on her. He looked relieved to see color in her cheeks again, but squinted at Jarth with a protective glare. "You sure you know what you're doing, Doc?" "I saved her life. Jarth answered calmly. I plan to keep doing that. Golden grunted, not ready to give his approval. Just don't break her heart. Jarth nodded once. I'd rather break my own. Alvara's breath caught. Golden said nothing else. He only tipped his hat and rode back to the ranch, leaving her more confused than ever. That evening she sat on the porch wrapped in a blanket while Jarth brought her a cup of warm tea. The land stretched wide in every direction. His cattle grazed in calm silence, and the sky glowed pink with sunset. You own all this? She asked quietly. Yes, he said, but his eyes were on her instead of the land. But it never felt like much until lately. She let the warm cup sit in her hands. Why me, Jarth? He leaned on the railing beside her. Because you ride into storms instead of running from them. Because you live with your whole heart but hide it deep. Because you make me want to be the kind of man who earns your trust. She swallowed hard. Trust was the one thing she never gave away. I'm scared, she admitted, voice barely a whisper. I know. His gaze never wavered, but you don't have to be scared alone. The silence stretched warm and full between them. The crickets started singing. The breeze lifted her hair. The world felt bigger, softer, safer. She looked at him, really looked, and saw the same fear tangled with hope in his eyes. I don't need someone to take care of me, she said. I know you don't, he replied, but maybe you deserve someone who wants to. Her heart cracked open like dry earth after the first rain. Slowly, she reached for his hand. He took it without hesitation, his fingers strong and steady around hers. That's all I ask, he whispered. She let her head rest lightly against his shoulder. The first stars blinked awake above them. Maybe life didn't need to be lived alone. Maybe pride didn't have to be her only armor. Maybe strength could look like letting someone stay. He pressed a soft kiss to her temple, gentle as the touch of night. Just lay back, he murmured, and let me take care of you. This time the words didn't sting. They settled into her like truth. Alvara breathed in slow, her side aching but healing, her heart pounding but softening. She didn't answer with words. She just held his hand a little tighter.